I had an executive assistant named Jen, who was a worship leader in our church. She was a huge Garth Brooks fan, loved Garth Brooks, and her and her husband both. And we happened to have Garth Brooks coming to the arena that I ran. I ran arenas in the U.S. and Canada for 29 years. And we had Garth Brooks coming to the arena for 5 shows in 4 days. The first day of the shows, I was introducing my staff to Garth, my director of finance, director of marketing, etc. I got to the end and I said, Garth, this is my executive assistant, Jen. And I'm maybe a bit biased, but I think she has an incredible voice, just absolutely beautiful voice. And I know this is a little awkward and we typically don't do this, but I wonder if you would be willing to sing just maybe the chorus of your song, The River, backstage here with Jen. And Jen looks at me like I'm crazy. Like, what are you doing? And Garth says, Jen, are you here for all of the shows? And she said, yes. And Garth said, I tell you what, why don't you learn Trisha Yearwood's How Do I Live? Which is, now Garth is married to Trisha, just for context, and they were touring together. He said, learn Trisha Yearwood's How Do I Live? And let's do it at soundcheck on Saturday with a full band. And she's like, what? Like, what? Like, what? He was just, first of all, Garth didn't know whether she could sing or not, right? He was just taking my word for it. And he just said, yeah, let's do it with a full band. And so Saturday rolls around. The band is on stage, just sort of getting ready, fiddling with their instruments. And Jen, her husband Greg, and I are just sitting there waiting for Garth to arrive. And Garth comes in and gives us all hugs like we've known each other for years. And he says, come on, let's go. So Jen and Greg went up on stage with Garth. And Garth says to the sound tech, bring me the Queen's mic, which was his wife Trisha's mic. So it comes out, it's all bedazzled in jewels. It's absolutely gorgeous microphone, and gives it to Jen. The band starts. Jen hits the first note of the song, and Garth turns to me and says, are you kidding me? She's amazing. And as they're doing the song, you can see the band just light up because this is exciting. This is someone who really knows what they're doing. And Trisha comes out from backstage and sits down in the front row and just watches. No pressure, right? It was incredible. It was such an amazing, powerful moment. And then after the song was done, they started singing The River together, which is what I had asked Garth to sing with Jen backstage. They sang it together that day, and it was emotional and powerful and absolutely incredible. Everyone gave Jen hugs, and we went about our way. And so Garth said to me later, he said, Scott, is Jen going to be coming to the show tonight? And I said, yeah, she'll be here. And he's like, okay, can you have her come backstage when she's here? Sure. So Jen comes in, I take her and her husband backstage, and they had, without anyone knowing, they had recorded Jen singing with the band on the soundboard. And they had all signed the CD for Jen and gave it to her as a gift before the show. That's not something you do in the industry. It went above and beyond anything that we had expected. It was an amazing experience, one that I'll never forget, and one that Jen and her family certainly won't forget as well.
I am the author of Rivermouth, A Chronicle of Language, Faith, and Migration. And I think a time that someone really went out of their way for me was when I was in grad school, and I was at the very, very beginning of writing my book. It's really hard to make time for that kind of thing in grad school, to sort of make space for thinking like that, especially because I was, working in the library to make rent and all the different things that kind of go into keeping yourself alive and afloat, in addition to doing your homework. I had been working with our writer in residence at the time, a writer called Terry Tempest Williams, and I had helped her make a chapbook for a talk that she was giving. And she told me that to thank me, she would send me to any writing conference or any workshop that I wanted to go to. And I had spent all semester hearing about her incredible house and this incredible place that she lived in Utah. And I was like, you know what? Feel free to say no. I'm trusting you to say no if it's too much, but I want to go do a writing retreat at your house and spend a little while there and have you show me this place where you're from. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? Okay, let's do it. And so a couple of months later, she flew me to her place and let me stay in her guest room. And we would go on these long walks through the desert every day. She would teach me the names of the plants. We would, look at things. We watched the light change on the canyons. And she gave me all of this space and quiet just to actually write. And I do think that was where I first really in earnest started writing the book. And it was just something that was so extraordinarily kind and extraordinarily generous and personal. And I think it's one of those things that helped make me into not just a writer, because I was doing a lot of that on my own, but someone who could do long form projects, someone who trusted in the work that I was doing and was able to turn it into a book in the end. I think that is the time that someone was my angel.